Order. Point of order, Mr. Paul Flynn.
Can I raise a point of order that's for you, Mr. Speaker, and that's the deteriorating character of Prime Minister's question time, which does so much damage to the reputation of this House and the reputation of politics. Last week, the Prime Minister asked the Leader of the Opposition 4 questions, almost more than she asked him. Just before the break and the last Parliament, the Prime Minister answered a question by raising 9 issues, none of which were the subject of the question asked. Because of this, we are leading Prime Minister's question time to be an exchange of crude insults and non-answers. As you know, Mr. Speaker, I've written to the Prime Minister on this to suggest he depoliticises the situation by convening all party leaders to look to reinvent question time into a format that will be dignified, still robust, but acceptable outside. Would it not be a good idea, perhaps, to change the name of Prime Minister's questions to Prime Minister's answers, so at least the Prime Minister will get the point? But in the last answer from me, he handed the conduct of this matter over to you and suggested that you take action.
Well, I'm very grateful to the honourable gentleman for his point of order. As the House will be aware, my responsibility is to try to keep or, as necessary, to restore order. I have no responsibility for the content either of questions or of answers. I don't mind saying to the honourable gentleman what he might know in any case, that I have on a previous occasion written to the party leaders to make the case for a cultural change in the manner in which Prime Minister's questions are conducted, and I received positive replies from the leaders. The start of a parliament might seem an auspicious time to try to bring about meaningful change, and I think it would be to the advantage of this House if members were to take account of and accord weight to the very widespread public disapproval of the way in which the proceedings are conducted. One method to proceed would be for all-party talks to be convened, but that's not for me to do. I would smile on it, but it's not for me to lead. An alternative method might be to ask the Procedure Committee of the House, under the excellent chairmanship of the honourable gentleman, the member for Broxbourne, to consider the way in which matters are handled and to suggest either a continuation of the status quo or reform options. I think that's all I can reasonably be expected to say on the matter today. Point of order, Mr. Ian Lavery, a separate point of order, I hope, on an unrelated matter.
Mr. Speaker, at the end of the last Parliament, the Fire Minister told this House that firefighters in England who were found to retire early wouldn't face any financial penalty to their pensions. Regional fire authorities have challenged or are challenging the legality of the statement made by the Minister, which is leaving our fire and rescue men and women in limbo. Can the Speaker advise on how best to clarify this very, very important issue?
I ought, just before I respond to the honourable gentleman, to correct myself. I should properly have referred to the honourable gentleman member Broxbourne as the former chairman of the Procedure Committee. There are not currently chairmen of select committees, though he was, when he was chairman, a distinguished chairman. Now, as far as the honourable gentleman is concerned, his point is one of great importance, but it is not a matter for the chair, and therefore I cannot rule on it. And we'll leave it there. And it's always helpful when one gives a ruling to have the sedentary support of the honourable gentleman member for Wellingborough, a notable parliamentary specialist himself. Mr. Stevens, point of order.
Mr. Speaker, my constituent, Mr. Ali, a political asylum seeker, is facing deportation this evening to Balochistan, an area of political upheaval and where there has been persecution of political activists. Mr. Speaker, can you advise me whether the Home Secretary can be encouraged to make a statement of such deportations to such an unstable region in the world?
I congratulate the honourable gentleman on his ingenuity. He's newly arrived in this House, but he's already worked out how to get his own point on the record. I feel confident that his words will be winging their way to the Home Secretary ere long on what is indeed a very important and urgent matter. We'll have to leave it there. If there are no further points